No update yet on Owen. We went to get some imaging on him, and we'll find out.
Can we assume by his presence here that Samuelson's had his surgery?
Yes, yes, he has. As planned, everything went as planned, so he's out, as mentioned.
Don, when you look at moving forward here, you know, guys know the situation they're in. You had 3 games in a row where you had a lot of chances. You didn't get to the net as much as you wanted Saturday. Just what's the message now, just going forward here? You know, the standings are what they are. You have to keep playing your schedule. What do you want to see from these guys in that kind of situation?
You absolutely have to stay in the moment. You have to, which is prepare for the next game and focus on, you know, the lay out a clear initiative, objective, focus on what you want to get done the next game. So, you know, you're in the moment. You're always taking bits and pieces from the last game you just played. You mentioned to the net, and I think the last 2 games, you know, through 2 periods the other day, I think we doubled the shot attempts that were at our net. We had guys toward the net, to the net on many occasions. We could have scored more, but we want more. We want more. We want more tips. We want more sticks on puck. We want to improve the delivery, the timing of the delivery. You know, even the height where you could tip it if a guy's in a shot lane. So, you know, lots of different nuances that you know, in situations, especially what we're looking at over the last couple of games is not scoring enough. So you're going to look at all the different nuances there, and carry that into your next game. Attack the net with a little bit more authority, a little bit more assertiveness. I think we've been very guilty of trying to score that perfect goal in 3 inches of the net, score on the first shot type of mentality instead of just put it to the net with a little bit more belief and conviction that, you know, you look at the goal that was the first goal of the game that was scored against us the other day. It was ricocheted off of this pad, that pad, and then right to a guy wide open on the back door. And that's how it happens. And, you know, when you press, when you start squeezing your stick a little tighter, you want it to be perfect, and you lose, you know, you lose the feel for that. And you saw us at the end of practice today play that small area game. That's to try to get you out of that a little bit.
Don, I know that's, you know, the big picture is you don't focus on that, and yet isn't there an urgency knowing that the big picture right now, the way things add up, show that this team is not headed, is running really out of room for margin for error at this point?
You know, there needs to be urgency every day. So every day is an urgent situation, and by virtue of fewer games left, yes, you're running out of room. It's obvious, but you know, you're running out of room day one when the season starts. You know, and I think that is a you know, that's been a different challenge for us. But yeah, you're it's every moment's urgent. There's been moments when you don't play well, you think, yeah, we need more urgency. So
you talked about confidence, but the level of frustration that we're seeing on the ice, and I'm giving you 2 examples when Darlene spiked the puck out of frustration for missing that chance, and then I think Cousins kind of like javelined his stick down the tunnel on Saturday. Sorry. Those seem to be incidences of when players are looking at the big picture and getting frustrated. How do you prevent them from going down that rabbit hole and expressing those frustrations into a negative, turning those frustrations into a negative?
Well, I like the energy and the emotion. I think that's what we could use more of, to be honest with you. But you have discussions with guys and make sure it stays within the boundaries of the moment and the next moment, staying focused. So you're absolutely right. It can be an indicator of many different things, right? So now you're trying to figure out, okay, what is this an indicator of? And you do the same as a coach. You're trying to figure out. So you have the conversations, and you know, you're always working to every day, every business you're in, to stay aligned. And so, but I do love those. I love that you mentioned those 2 players, Cousins, highly emotional guy, and Darlene, and that they have a real their heart, their mind, their determination is all about winning. And, when they don't succeed, they get very frustrated. But they are, I believe, helping us drive that initiative of get in the moment. This matters. The urgency is here. And that's what we need more of. We do. We need more of that urgency. And it's not, it's not to say, I think every coach in the league would tell you that, especially after you lose a game. You need more urgency. But I do like that. I liked it. I talked to Cousins right after the game last night, or the other night, and he was very emotional and very high energy, and I loved all of it.
I guess the last thing for me is there a sort of a disconnect between what the vision of management here was and where this team is at right now, as far as overvaluing maybe its assets, maybe its roster, given the fact that you are, 3 games under 500 at this point. Is there some kind of a disconnect, or is that the weight of expectations? I'm not sure what has led to this point, because it seems like an unacceptable point of the season right now.
Yeah, there's not a disconnect. That's for certain. You mentioned the record. We've had to battle different things. Certainly, expectations being one of them. Injuries being another. I mean, if you look at nobody wants to hear that. It's I don't even want to say it. It's a factor, unfortunately. And you go through these things, and every time you move up an echelon as a team in sports, just look at teams through the league. You're faced with different expectations that you have to learn to deal with it. All of the frustration that we go through here, the situations we go through here, we have to monitor to make certain it is making the experience of going through it is going to make us stronger and better. As we've gone through it, we have gotten better in areas that we needed to get better in. UPL has risen. We've played better in different situations that we weren't as good and proficient at last year. So when the pieces do come back together, or when they do come together, you see it better. And if I look at the last 4 games, so dating back, third period in Anaheim was clearly our only period that we played well in that game, but played well. Win in LA, win in San Jose, play with more tempo, more pace. We come here, we have 40-some shots against Dallas and just didn't score. And then through 2 periods the other night, we were double shot opportunities against the team we played. Third period the other night, not good at all. Not good at all. And we're so lots of segments were really good in there. It's just putting it all together, putting the defense together, the offense together, the situations together, and again, when you come out of it, make sure you're stronger as a result of going through it. And again, you've only have control of the moment, and we're trying to make sure we seize control of that.
Mentioned Darlene kind of driving the urgency and being in the moment. Did you even see that today, the way you kind of led some of those battle drills?
Yes, definitely. Good point to bring up. And you saw Cousins. You saw, you see a little bit of the difference, offset in personality and even compete when you do one-on-one battle drills like that. And again, to mention those 2 guys, they're always high in that category.
There's always pressure, Don, no matter where you play in the NHL, but this is a very unique situation. I mean, when it comes to people talk about the playoff drought, there's a lot more noise around the situation. So as a coach, even Kevin, how do you guys make sure that doesn't get in anyone's head? Especially playing at home, we know what happens with the crowd. I mean, how do those factors really, play in, especially when you have a younger team?
Everything's a challenge, when it comes to potential adversity or adversity. So, but the group. I mean, it's and I think every franchise has different challenges. So, you know, as you mentioned, that can be a challenge in this franchise, but it's learning to deal with adversity. The teams that are successful, they've learned how to deal with adversity. Let's face it, you know, there's talent all over this league, but learning to deal with it so it doesn't impede your mojo, your feel good, you're not tight, you're not feeling extra pressure. I mean, I know, you know, we were just talking a little bit ago, you know, we're talking about goals, and you know, we're 13th, I think, is what one of the coaches mentioned on scoring on the road. We're 27th at home, so you can see there's a little bit of there's a big difference there, right? Where you rank, how much of that is psychology, and but you know, you have to get the psyche is the difference when you're talking about you hop on that rink in the margin that is in games.
What can you say from the LA game, if at all? I mean, you played well, they were pretty bad. Now it's a different coach. They've only played one game under a new coach. Can you take much from that game?
You certainly don't want to take much, you know, to be honest with you. It starts at 0-0. You know, anytime you play a team you just beat, you know, they're going to be ready for you. They're going to be dialed in. So there's, you know, you don't take a whole lot from that. You know, there were certain things we did that I liked in that game. You could only hope you did them, and that frustrated the other team. I mean, you got them to play frustrated. They hadn't had success at home. They've been much better on the road. Their numbers are way better on the road as well. I don't know, we're talking about our home situation. You know, we probably took advantage of that. They got frustrated, felt in that game a little bit, but yeah, I don't really. You can't carry the score over, so you can't really carry much over.
Part of the same answer, but as we get into this time of year, it's stressful for all players around the NHL as we get closer to the trade deadline. As a coach, how do you handle that? Would you just tell them try to ignore the noise as much as you can, or how does you, coach, handle that? Because it's all over the league that there's some players who get very nervous at this time of year as they trade. It's like it's closer.
You go about your business. I mean, you know it's there, so you communicate. You talk to your players, but you know you've got to lay out a game plan for the next game, and whether it's for the entire team and then specifically to individuals or individual lines, and really you're preoccupying your players with what they need to do, what you're demanding of them for the next game, and that usually is, you know, that's the driver. That's what you do. And that takes care of it. I think all our guys are very focused on, you know, the next game, and they have, and we've got to just continue that. These guys know it's part of the business. They've been through it. Nobody on our roster hasn't been through it yet, other than maybe Benson and Johnson. So.
You know, we've talked so much about Casey's evolution, development, and you talk to him, and he's never sounded more confident. You watch him; he's never looked more confident on the ice. Just what's happened for him to become one of the drivers, one of the guys you clearly trust the most, I guess?
A long process of what we just said about our team. I mean, he's battled adversity and challenge and been, you know, torn apart and broken down, and, you know, on all fronts, right? By you know, this room and post-game analysis, coaches over the years, right? There's a high profile guy and a high pick, and you know, he's had to persevere, and through persevering and all those adversities and all those challenges, when you come out the other side, you got a lot of experience, and that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing a guy that can handle it, handle pressure, handle the moment, handle situations, and is having you know, a great year as a result.
When you isolate this season, I guess, and just look at what he's done this year, I mean, his minutes are up a few minutes, and I mean, he's a plus player for the first time. What stands out about what he's done this year, I guess?
What stands out is, you know, and you saw behind the scenes that, you know, he was going to break a threshold and get to this point. He wasn't going to quit until he did, and you saw that process happening, even though it wasn't there. And, you know, to John's point, you know, it's like a whole team. You don't see the wins, but you see the process that you know, you want it to continue to point toward inevitability. When it turns, it's going to turn. And Casey had lots of adversity, lots of doubters, day in and day out, and day in and day out. for, more than a year. Years we're talking, and he'd drive and fight through it. And again, when you come out the other side, you have a lot more experience and a lot more hindsight. And but that started a long time ago. Thank you, guys.